Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So just recently, everybody has been going back and forward talking about this extended beef, drama, feud, if you will, between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Now, I've mentioned before that I'm not a fan of Drake and I'm not a fan of Kendrick Lamar either, and there are specific reasons as to why. I might not get into those in this particular video, although it is very interesting what's taking place between him and these record labels, between him and these companies like Spotify. It's worth noting and pointing out because people need to understand and see the truth where it pertains to these celebrities who think that they have everything, that they are all that in a bag of chips, that they're on top of the world, that they run everybody, that they're better than everybody. These record labels will check you. And that's essentially what I believe is going on. Now, to kind of summarize what's really happening, after Kendrick Lamar's song, They Not Like Us, went viral, people were streaming the song. The optics, if you will, of it all was saying that Kendrick Lamar won the rap battle, if you will. That's how everybody felt. That's how most people felt, except for the celebrities who were capping, if you will, for Drake because that's what they do. They're butt kissers and they're paid by the industry to do so. Drake is now alleging, and people keep saying that it's not an official lawsuit. It's more of like a complaint, sort of like the preemptive, if you will, into what could turn into a lawsuit. Him essentially filing a complaint to Universal Music and also, like I said, companies like Spotify, if you will, because he feels like this whole They Not Like Us going viral sensation, if you will, was not authentic. He feels like they use methods such as bots paying people to stream the song over and over again, that Spotify was playing his music over his, that whenever people would ask Siri, and there have been videos of people doing this, they would say, "Hey Siri, play For All the Dogs," or whatever his little song was called. It ended up playing a Kendrick Lamar song instead. And I quote, Drake filed legal papers in New York and Texas accusing the Universal Music Group, the giant record company behind both rappers, of operating an elaborate scheme to promote Lamar's Not Like Us at the expense of Drake's music, using bots to drive up clicks on streaming services and payola to influence radio stations. End quote. And I quote, in documents filed in New York State Supreme Court in Manhattan on behalf of one of Drake's companies, Frozen Moments, the rapper's lawyer said that Universal launched a campaign to manipulate and saturate the streaming services and airways with the song Not Like Us in order to make that song go viral, including by using bots and pay-to-play agreements. In a separate filing in Bexar County, Texas, lawyers for Drake, this time filing under his real name, Aubrey Drake Graham, said they were considering a defamation claim against Universal over Lamar's Not Like Us, the hit song that represented the climax of Drake and Lamar's rap war. In that song, Lamar took various swipes at Drake, including calling Drake and his crew certified PEDOs. Universal, Drake's filing said, could have refused to release or distribute the song or required the offending material to be edited and/or removed, but chose to put it out instead. UMG knew that the song itself attacked the character of one of UMG's most prominent artists, Drake, the filing said, by falsely accusing him of being a sex offender, engaging in PEDO acts, harboring sex offenders, and committing other criminal sex acts. Both documents were not full legal complaints, but instead preliminary steps to obtain further information, which could lead to lawsuits in the future. The New York filing described as a petition named Spotify in addition to Universal. The Texas document added the radio giant iHeartMedia. End quote. So as I said before, basically Drake is trying to allege that the label, different platforms, streaming platforms, such as Spotify, iHeartRadio, etc., were working together to basically make Kendrick Lamar's song go more viral than it actually did. That is what he's basically trying to allege. Now, do I think that there is a possibility that that could have happened? Absolutely. Now, I have to say allegedly, and that these are my opinions and speculations, but I don't put anything past these labels and these artists. What people need to understand is, despite how you feel about these record labels, how much you may like some of these artists, it is not beneath them to use shady and even unethical, even more so illegal methods to do what they want to do, to get what they want. I don't put anything past these record labels, these platforms, and these artists. Now, would I feel sorry for Drake if that was the case? Absolutely not. Now, am I saying it's right? Of course not. There was even a video that had been circulating recently where there was someone talking to another person who was a fan of Kendrick Lamar saying, oh, there may have been a possibility that bots were being used to help Kendrick Lamar. Like I said before, we have to say allegedly, our opinion and speculation. And the guy who was the Kendrick Lamar fan basically said he didn't care. He literally said, if he was using bots, I don't care, simply because he likes Kendrick Lamar that much. The issue that I have with that is, where is the genuineness? Where is the integrity? First of all, and second of all, once again, the hypocrisy of the culture. So if this was Drake doing this, everybody would be pissed off. Now, I get it, people don't like him at the moment, but still, let's not be hypocritical. And once again, this goes back to what I've been saying for a while on this channel, that people justify what they want for who they want, when they want to, because of who they idolize. That is an issue that needs to be addressed, but everybody wants to sweep it under the rug. Now, once again, do I feel sorry for Drake? Absolutely not, because were there not allegations of him doing the same thing? So if it is true that he was doing the same thing, then he has no right to throw stones because he's standing in a glass house. Now, if he didn't, then he has the right to call Kendrick Lamar out about that. If it's true that he didn't and Kendrick Lamar did use these unethical methods, once again, I'm going to say this, he has the right to call him out because that's not right. It's unethical. But at the same time, his issue is not with Kendrick Lamar. It's with the label, because if all of this is true, then this was something that the label and these companies, these platforms, these streaming platforms facilitated. Now, one other thing that he was trying to throw out there is, I guess, maybe like a defamation type of a thing. I don't know if he was directing that at Kendrick Lamar or once again at the label because of the PEDO allegations that came out in that diss track. And I would say, okay, he has some grounds for that defamation. You know, oh, it's not fair to tarnish a man's reputation despite how people feel about him. But he gave those allegations power and validity. He was the one who gave those allegations the legs to stand on and then take off running. Because remember the video that went viral of him on stage with the minor. Now, some people might debate, because I don't know what state that was in that he did that show. Some people might say, oh, well, maybe in that state she was of the legal age. There was some, I think, discrepancy at one point in time, people going back and forward over how old she really was. And we all know the reason why, to make him look less of a PEDO. But he was the one who gave those allegations, once again, the legs to stand on, by being a creep, by being a weirdo, by doing stuff like kissing all over and hugging all over a child, essentially, while he's a grown behind man. That weird interaction he had with Millie Bobby Brown. And also, another thing he was saying, oh, that people were alleging, or that Kendrick Lamar in his diss track was alleging that he was around or like to be around sex offenders. Again, he is the reason why people felt that way about him already before Kendrick Lamar even released that diss track, because wasn't he the same one who made a song? He collaborated with another rapper, I can't think of the man's name at the moment, who made a comment about Billie Eilish's boobs. He made a sexually charged comment about a minor. She was 17 at the time. And he made a comment in his song while he was rapping with Drake, allegedly, if I have it correctly. Hopefully I'm not getting him confused with somebody else. But wasn't that Drake who was doing this stuff? So again, why in the world are you upset at people calling you a weirdo, saying that they feel you're a PEDO, saying that you like to be around people who have a shady background, when you are acting like a weirdo and you act like a weirdo and you've hung around people with a shady background? We can also once again bring up that whole debacle between him and Halle Berry. Whenever he said in his song that he was going to give Halle Berry a baby and nobody was going to stop him, that came across as sex offenderish. I don't care what anybody says. And people had been looking at him with the side eye since then, and even before then. And once again, this is a very beige pot, but a pot nonetheless. Calling the kettle black here with him trying to say defamation because of the PEDO insinuations and comments. Wasn't this the same Drake that tried to allege that Kendrick Lamar was a woman beater, was a wife beater. Now, I don't know if the woman that he's with is his actual wife. I don't even know for sure. But still, that could be considered defamation. So again, the hypocrisy of it all, the throwing stones in glass houses of it all. Now, one thing I will give Drake, in all honesty, allegedly, Kendrick Lamar used a picture of his house on the map as his album cover, which, I mean, if you really think about it, is a glorified way of doxing somebody. Now, that was very messed up. I don't care what anybody says. Like, people feel like just because they don't like Drake or they have something against him because of what he's done, which I completely understand, that gives people the right to just do and say all kinds of crazy stuff that's really not okay. It really crosses the line, and it's not. So once again, that was definitely wrong. Some people don't think that people could have found out where he lived through that, but you clearly don't know, if you think that, the ability of some of these hackers out here, some of these people who live on the internet and are very, very tech savvy and intelligent. The man has a kid. What if his son was staying with him at that time? You're going to really put the man's house on a map on your album cover over a stupid diss track? Endangering possibly his life and the life of his child if he's there. That's all I'm saying. Like, people don't think about these things. And while we're on the subject of children and minors, I'm going to also bring this up again because I don't feel like people really heard it enough to really actually be triggered into waking up, if you will. The fact that Kendrick Lamar, which is why I don't care for him either, would wait until he's putting out a diss track against Drake to bring up the fact that he's a PEDO, to call him out for that in a diss track when he could have just said it normally, is giving, you knew this information, you sat on it, and when you should have reported him low-key, you just waited until the opportunistic time, until a time where you could monetize off of it and benefit off of. And I'm not okay with that. I told y'all how I feel when it comes to these children. That's not okay. I don't care what anybody says. But people are so wrapped up in their worship of this man, idolizing him, putting him on a pedestal because they like him so much because of what they think he's doing for the community and the culture, that they act like they really don't care. But once again, I don't care for any of these celebrities. I'm not putting them on a pedestal ever. They're not my God. They didn't die on a cross for my sins. All of them can get called out for what they do every time. And as for Drake, once again, I don't feel sorry for him either. There was a lawyer basically laughing at this situation. And I know these lawyers surrounding this are laughing all the way to the bank every time these celebrities get caught in this stuff. I think y'all know which lawyer I'm talking about. I cannot remember this man's name. He be on TikTok and all that kind of stuff. He be in all the celebrity legal drama, giving the breakdown, the legal jargon, helping people understand it from a legal professional perspective. He was basically laughing at this situation on the internet about how, once again, what I explained earlier, that I guess so much damage was done to Drake's image because of that diss track that he felt like he had to do this. Once again, I look at it as a preemptive lawsuit because he felt like the label didn't protect him, that the label allowed Kendrick Lamar to say some things and pass off that diss track. And once again, it caused damage to him in ways that wasn't fair, and he felt like they should have protected him. It's like the privilege of it all, the white privilege of it all. And this is why people keep saying, once again, that they don't like him. They keep saying, again, repeating the name of the song, They Not Like Us. Because one moment, and I've talked about this before, Drake is talking about how he wants to sort of be a part of the black community. He's always catering to a demographic, trying to appeal to the black culture. And then when things don't go his way, he does disrespectful, goofy behind raggedy mess. And once again, like how that one guy, that ex-industry publicist, Jonathan Hayes, said how he couldn't stand Drake, how he was talking about DJ Vlad and other individuals like that who are culture vultures, how they're always disrespectfully coming for women who are of the culture, women of color, black women. And it applies to Drake as well. He does it quite often, actually. He's very disrespectful. And once again, he learned from the culture. He learned from black people. Once again, people have been saying for a while now, they've been warning him for a while now, you can't say, oh, I want to be black and try to act black and again, be a part of the culture and the community. And once again, when things don't go your way, you don't get the response from them that you want. You act like you're better because you're light skinned and you're biracial. Let's just call it what it is. I'm not going to mince my words here. We're going to call it out and call it for what it is for real today. He wants to be angry because he doesn't get what he wants, so then he falls back into his Karenhood, if you will, which he can afford to do because of who he is. And I feel like that's now backfiring on him. Whenever I look at this situation, what it appears to me is that either Drake has messed up somewhere, he stepped on somebody's toes, he's rubbed somebody above him the wrong way, and a lot of people have been talking about Lucien Grange, who he answers to. He has done something that they either don't like or he's not making them the same amount of money that they wanted him to make. And now he's either being punished or they're showing him you don't run anything. Maybe he got too big for his britches and they wanted to knock him down a couple of pegs. He felt like he was on top of the world because he was dominating the rap genre for a while. A lot of people felt like he was being shoved in everybody's faces. Some people liked him authentically, but others felt like he was being shoved in our faces, which again goes back to the hypocrisy of it all. You saying that he was using bots to promote his music or that the label was using bots to promote his music when the label has been promoting him, shoving him in everybody's faces, like I said, for years now. So again, maybe he got a little too big for his britches in the industry. The label wanted to remind him that he's nothing really essentially without them backing him. And perhaps they're only using Kendrick Lamar not because they like him, they like black culture or black people, or they want to promote black culture because that is never something that they're going to do or feel for that matter. They're probably only promoting him because at the moment, he is who is making them the most money. So they're almost like knocking out two birds with one stone. Knocking Drake down a peg, like I said, so he won't get too much of the big head, or because he done something or not done something he was supposed to do or wasn't supposed to do. And also they're making more money. They know what people are listening to, what they want, what they're tapping into. And when they know that, they put their resources into making sure that that is what people see, what they get, what they hear. I've told y'all it's the monetization of it all, the capitalization of it all. Put two people against each other and have them go back to back. It draws people in because society likes division. The community likes division. They like opposing sides. And when that preferred opposing side wins, Kendrick Lamar, they get more money. They monetize. It's just a win-win for them. And they're once again weaponizing everybody's attention against them, whether it's a distraction or just blatantly something that people shouldn't be devoting all of their attention, time, and energy to anyways. But that's not a conversation most people are ready to have. Now, you all know I had to go to social media to see what people were saying, as I usually do. One person on YouTube posted, and I quote, "Definitely proving he's not like us. This is some white activity here," end quote. Another person in the YouTube comments came with that same energy and said, and I quote, "Kendrick called him a colonizer, and this is not helping his case. It's also putting the diss track back into the limelight," end quote. And that is very true. Him bringing this up again, trying to cry defamation, trying to file this not lawsuit, if you will. It's all bringing publicity and attention right back to the song again. Another person in the comments stated that this is basically more ammunition for Kendrick Lamar, that Drake is basically handing him more for Kendrick to clown him over. Someone else stated that this was one of the weakest moves in hip-hop history. Back in the day, whenever people were doing diss tracks, whether they were authentic or they were engineered by the industry, at least whenever they were going back and forward, if somebody said something, if it was pretty harsh or disrespectful, the other person just got back on the track, got back in the studio, and made another diss track, another diss song, so to speak. There was no calling of the police. There was no filing of the lawsuits, if you will. They just dug a little deeper or dug for more dirt to throw on the other person. I'm not saying I agree with it or that it was right. I'm just saying this is what was done, especially back in the day, which is why people are saying that what he did, the stunt that he pulled, was a very weak thing to do. Another person in the YouTube comments posted, and I quote, "Drake hit him with the 'I'll see you in court, buddy,' end quote." Someone else doubled down on that by saying, and I quote, "Kendrick, squabble up," with the punch emoji. Aubrey, Karen up, with the "I'm calling somebody" emoji, followed by some other ones, end quote. And I can understand why people are saying these things, because once again, what he did was a very Karen type move. It's giving, whenever you were growing up in school, there was always that rich kid whose parents could afford to buy them everything. Anytime they didn't get their way, daddy's money would just pave the way. Whether or not they were actually deserving of what they were trying to get or take, they always had that entitlement, that privilege to go off of. They start fights with the so-called or the supposed underdogs, with the little black kids who they know they can take advantage of and bully because of the obvious color and class difference. And then when they get their behinds handed to them, told loose, if you will, by said underdogs, by the young black kids who they're bullying because of their privilege over them, then they want to go run the daddy and say, oh, make them pay for what they did. They want to call the police and say, oh, look what this black kid did to me. Or they want to try and go above them and make them pay in some kind of way that they can't stop. Once again, using their money and privilege. That's what it's giving. And a lot of people have experienced these things in actual life, in real life, which is why it rubbed a lot of people, especially in the black community, the wrong way when he did this. It's all more of what we've all in the black community, or at least most of us, have already experienced to some degree or another. And he added salt to the wound, if you will, by doing it again himself. Another person posted in the YouTube comments, and I quote, "In these streets, he is Karen. He's doing exactly what Kendrick said he would do, playing the victim. He's not reading the room. He should have rapped, period," end quote. Another person in the comments said, and I quote, "Aubrecia, please. I know I played Not Like Us 11 times, and I watched the Prime concert. The song just slapped, take the L like a man," end quote. So basically she's saying that she doesn't believe in that he's using bots allegations, because she personally liked the song so much that she listened to it a lot of times. And she feels like other people did the same. Another person posted something that I talked about earlier, and I quote, "I remember when Drake was on every playlist on Spotify. I mean, he was literally shoved down our throats," end quote. So once again, despite what anybody says, I don't care how much some person likes Drake, the truth is, these labels pick and choose who they want to promote, who they want to shove in our faces. And for a long time, like this person said, it was Drake. They pick and choose depending on what they want, who's going to promote what goofy agenda, what demonic agenda they've got going on. Whoever's going to sell out, do what they want them to do, and they shove these people in our faces. He benefited off of the same privilege and all of the benefits that he is now claiming the label is giving to Kendrick, but now he wants to cry about it. I think I speak for majority of people when I say we do not care. I'm going to wrap this video up with one more post that I saw on YouTube that also extends to some things I haven't been seeing very many people talking about. And I quote, "Drake needs to know that he's not stronger than the machine. The golden child has officially crashed out," end quote. And what that means is, once again, he is not bigger than the people who controls him. He's not bigger than the industry. Once again, the people at the top who run this thing, who run the industry. Once again, I'll say this. He got a little too big for his britches. He was out here thinking real pridefully and arrogantly that he was all that in a bag of chips, because the machine, the industry, and the people who run it were behind him, promoting him, putting him at the top. He really was getting beside himself when he decided to file that not lawsuit, as I've been calling it before. Once again, as I stated, whenever this little beef between the two of them first went off, I didn't really believe this was authentic. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I thought this was something that the industry engineered to get people's attention. But after this, I'm almost changing my mind. I'm going to be real honest with you all. Especially after he filed this not lawsuit. Now there are people revisiting, reposting all of these allegations of him messing around with underage individuals. These videos of people talking about these allegations and the allegations of what may or may not have happened to Triple X, what allegedly may have happened to him, and why he mentioned Drake's name directly out of his mouth right before it all happened, allegedly. Y'all know I have to say allegedly, right? All of that is now coming to the surface. So once again, he's gotten so far beside himself trying to make them pay for no longer giving him those privileges that he benefited off of after it seems like somebody else is now getting them. He forgot that you don't go against the system. You don't try to call the system out and make them pay for not doing what they've been doing for you. A good example of that is exactly what happened to P. Diddy. Remember that lawsuit he allegedly filed, which a lot of people are saying that's what got him messed up? Now all this stuff is coming out about him. The same thing can happen to Drake. He's not so far up there that he's untouchable, but that's what he was thinking moving the way he was, in his pride, in his entitlement, in his privilege. He really forgot that the same thing can happen to him. And I honestly do believe at the rate that he's going, if he's not awfully careful, all that stuff about him is going to come back up in the media. And there's no telling what could come out about him as well. Because you know the industry, they always have stuff locked and loaded. They always have dirt to throw on these celebrities when they step out of line. Once again, do I feel sorry for him? Absolutely not, because he chose this life. He chose to do these things. He chose to yoke himself up with the industry, accept all of what they were giving him to do what he's been doing, which is promoting his garbage. Yes, I called his music and everything he does and promote garbage because that's what it is. Anyways, though, y'all let me know what y'all think and how y'all feel about all of this down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.